Welcome to the eDomino Snapshot on California Paid Sick Leave. California's Paid Sick Leave Law, also known as the Healthy Workplaces, Healthy Families Act of 2014, went into effect January 1, 2015. One of the main points of the law is that employers must provide paid sick leave to any employee who works in California 30 days or more within a year of their employment date. The employee must also have completed 90 days of employment with that employer. The company must provide paid sick time for full-time, part-time, and temporary workers, as well as paid interns. While there are some employers who are exempt from the requirement, including those listed here, the vast majority of employers are required to provide paid sick leave. There are two options for complying with the sick leave law. In the accrual method, you must track all hours worked for non-exempt employees, that is, employees who are eligible for overtime, and provide 1 hour of paid sick time for every 30 hours worked. Exempt employees are considered to work 40 hours per week, so their accrual is calculated on a 40-hour work week. However, if an exempt employee works a schedule of less than 40 hours, say 20 hours per week, they would accrue sick time based on a 20-hour work week. The employer may also limit the amount of sick leave taken each year to 24 hours. So although the employee may accrue far more, they may not take more than 24 hours each year. Unused accrued sick time must be carried over from year to year. However, again, the employer has the option of limiting the maximum accrual amount to 48 hours. A year may be a calendar year, or it may be counted from the employee's start date. The other compliance method is the lump sum advance method. In this method, the employee is provided 24 hours of paid sick time at the beginning of each year. If you elect to use this method, you are not required to carry over unused sick time. No matter if you elect to use the accrual or lump sum advance method, you are not required to pay out unused time upon termination. One note here, if you have a paid time off or PTO policy in which vacation and sick time is combined, you must be aware that California treats all PTO time as earned compensation, meaning you are required to pay out all unused accrued time upon termination. If you rehire someone within 1 year, you are required to reinstate their accrued unused sick time. While there is an assumption that reinstatement is not necessary if you paid the time out under PTO, specific guidance on this point has not yet been provided. The employer can set a minimum increment for taking leave, such as 1 hour. However, the minimum increment cannot be greater than 2 hours. The law, as it is currently written, is unclear if an employer may request or require documentation of illness or other reason for taking leave. The law states that the employee must provide reasonable advance notification if the leave need is foreseeable. However, reasonable advance notification is not defined, so it is assumed that if the employee awakes and discovers they're ill just prior to the start of their scheduled work time, the employer would be required to provide the paid time off. Employers are prohibited from retaliating against employees for using paid sick leave, and you may not require the employee find a replacement worker. Paid sick leave may be used for the employee's own need or that of a family member, as defined here. Victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, or stalking may also use paid sick leave. The pay for sick time must be provided no later than the next regular payroll period. The employee must be paid their usual hourly rate unless they had different hourly rates during the prior 90-day period, they're paid by commission, or they're a non-exempt salaried employee. California also has the standing kin care law, which allows an employee to use up to half of their sick leave to care for a family member. Keep in mind, as the paid sick leave definition of family member is considerably more extensive than the kin care law definition, it is possible for an employee to meet one criteria and not the other. Although California employers are required to provide paid sick leave no later than July 1st, 2015, other requirements of the law took effect January 1st. Employers must use the revised Wage Theft Prevention Act notice for all non-exempt new hires, and they must distribute revised notices to all non-exempt employees whenever there's a change of policy. You must also provide employees notice of sick time accrued, taken, and remaining each pay date. This must be provided on either the pay stub, or you may provide a separate written notice. Employers must retain all related records for a minimum of 3 years. And now, some best practice tips. Keep in mind, paid sick leave applies to all employees working in California for more than 30 days. By way of example, this would include your New York-based CIO, who travels to the LA office every other month to work on an implementation project. If she works in California 30 days or more, she is eligible for paid sick leave. Make sure you track the hours worked for intermittent or seasonal workers, part-time and temp workers, and paid interns. Update all related policies. Provide new Wage Theft Prevention Act notices as required. Post the new sick leave policy poster. Review your absence call-in policies. They may violate the foreseeable and reasonable advance notification sections of the guidelines. Determine how you're going to provide sick leave information to employees each payday. Review or revise your pay statements as necessary. And finally, keep in mind some cities have their own sick leave laws. Be sure to stay on top of local ordinances. And that's your Idomeneo snapshot on California paid sick leave.